There, greetings. Margarita here, activator for the new code of power, and welcome to the Rise Up with Margarita show. And every week on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, I share with you some discussion around what is here to help you rise up into the next level as a powerful light worker. Because as you probably already know and can feel in your bones, this is a really powerful time during the Planetary Awakening for all light workers, leaders of light, empaths, star seeds to really rise up and show up in a bigger way. And so each topic every single week is going to be different. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Margarita Alcantara. I activate spiritually conscious entrepreneur leaders into the next level of their power so that they can make deep impact in the world. And so today's topic is the secret to transcending the fear programming that is showing up now. And the reason I chose this topic, it's always something timely that I want to speak into. And so, this time it's really because there's a lot of light workers who are really powerful, and maybe you are even really connected with how powerful you are. And the thing here is, though, if you have a lot of power potential, it's up to you and it's your responsibility to really show up in the fullness of that, because there is, a really powerful need for your light to shine in a really big way so that you can really be part of that ascension of humanity, and even for Gaia too, because as she ascends, we ascend. And, if we do not get on board with that, and, during the Lionsgate portal, I really help the participants in activating them into the new grid of Gaia. And so that is something where we all get to be, because where we're headed is going to be even more than you already think it is right now, right? So, because as you can feel too, there's a lot of intense energy going on. And it's actually going to get more intense before it actually transforms and gets better. And the thing is that, yeah, this all results in, really powerful, transcendent experience for all on this planet. And that doesn't mean that you get to rest on your laurels, right? It gets to mean that you get to step up and be part of that change that is then showing up in the world and manifesting. Right. So it actually happens when we all step on board and when we all rise higher to be of service during this powerful time. So, just as a reminder, the secret to transcending the fear programming that is showing up now is the topic for today. And so, I'm going to go right into it right now. So, I'm going to be covering what the fear programming is about, how it shows up, some of the symptoms and signs you may be experiencing personally in your physical body, in your life, as part of the fear programming that's amping up in the world, why it's happening at an accelerated rate, and then also how you get to transcend this. This is where I get to share that secret of transcending this so that you can really show up and really be in your power around all this. So, the fear programming. So the fear programming, it's all about, and I'm taking a look at my notes here that I prepared for today, just some bullet points to make sure I'm on point for you, is just as there are light agendas, the angels, the galactics, I mean, they all also have their own agenda too, not just those who are negatively oriented. So as there are light agendas, there are also fear agendas, that are connected more with the negative frequencies and negative energies, right? And so the fear agendas are part of a deep programming to keep humanity divided, submissive, controlled, distracted from their power, even fearful of their power. And that fear programming of all of that is purposeful so that you do not desire to be in your power right now, or that you're afraid to be in your power, that you're afraid you'll be misusing your power, all the things that you have triggers around or concerns around. They use that to their advantage and instill fear into the collective, so that we get distracted from our power, so that we get distracted from our light. So, and actually fear, and I'm just going to speak into this real quickly, and not like get into the juice of the mechanisms of how this works or anything. Um, in a way, I'm kind of covering it right now, though. So fear is actually food. Your fear is food, and it nourishes deeply the negative energies that keep the fear program alive. So you actually energize and nourish and amplify the fear programming when you are in your fear. When you are afraid of any aspect of yourself, such as your own power, when you are afraid that you are not lovable or that you're not worthy, whenever you're afraid to prioritize yourself, which is always the reason why people say, I don't have time, right? There's a prioritization issue there. Or, if you have any fear around money, and light workers have tons of that. And that is something that you get to transform, just as I got to transform that, so that you get to be in your full abundance as a light worker, and not just abundance of joy and love and all those juicy things, but also with your wealth and your money. And so anywhere where you have fear around how powerful you are and how you get to be so powerful, the more you nourish this fear agenda. And conversely, if you address, heal, clear, and really address all those triggers and fears that you've got about your experience in this world, then the more you're going to be able to amplify your light, the more you're going to start unplugging from the fear agenda, and you're going to actually start seeing through the fear agenda. You're just going to see through it and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I actually believed that at one point, right? And no judgment about that. If you ever notice that you are in that experience personally, just, address it, be in the knowing and the awareness of it, and then start doing what you need to do to transform that. Because, the stuckness that may happen when a light worker is not really stepping up into their power, that happens when you're not in the fullness of your essence of who you are. You will automatically feel blocked. You will automatically feel stuck if you are not in the fullness of your power, because your heart already knows, I'm not, in my power, right? You're not really fully connected to your heart, maybe, or you're not really fully stepped up to the plate in order to really show up as a really powerful light worker, in this world. So, here's how it shows up. Okay, this fear programming, just so that you can start identifying it for yourself. Here's how it shows up. It shows up in the programs around division. Number one. So anywhere where you're seeing in the world where there's an amplification around dividing others, dividing the collective, saying, you guys go here, you guys belong here, you guys cannot integrate, you guys cannot be unified, right? Anywhere where there's division, creating an us versus them dynamic, or makes others wrong, like for instance, one population is wrong and one population is right, for instance, or segregates humanity in any way. This is part of the division that creates the fear. Because one of the things that is so important to understand is that the division, of course, number one, happens within ourselves. And then we see it outside of ourselves, right? So what I mean by that is when you are disconnected from your heart, for instance, that's one way, right? You may be disconnected from your heart, for instance, due to betrayals you've experienced in the past, that you've held bitterness around, or maybe you have fear around opening up your heart again, so there's a certain amount of being closed off in your heart that may happen there. So whenever there's division there, or when there's polarity, like you're saying that you're bad, or that you're only good, or that you're divine masculine, you're divine feminine, like they're not amplified and they're also not unified within yourself, that's also a way of being in division within yourself. And so whenever there's division within yourself, you're going to see it outside of yourself. So that's really the key to a lot of this division stuff and these tactics that are showing up in the world that is part of the fear programming, is to look first within yourself. Where am I divided within myself? Where am I not believing in my power and my light? Where am I feeling fractured? Where am I not whole? Where am I being an enemy to myself? And when you start getting clear on that, you'll start noticing what the divisions are, and then start, bringing some healing into that. And so then another way it shows up, this fear programming in the world, is through submission and control. And you may be noticing some of that already happening on the world stage, right? There's a lot of that happening. And anything that makes you believe, should I say, that you have no sovereignty or power in your life, or that you feel like something or someone else has more power over you than you have over your life, that's part of the submission and control paradigm and programming. So anything that attempts to subjugate you, or if there's a controlled narrative around how you must live your life. Like, I mean, there's always recommendations in the world, right? Or you might follow mentors, or, people you are inspired by. And that's something different than, you must do this or die, right? That's a totally different energy there, right? So this submission and control that is amplified in the world is really, really important. And as I'm seeing here a comment, we all just want to feel safe and loved. Absolutely, right? And this is where the fear paradigm and programming is going to show up for you, and is already showing up for the collective, because there is obviously a core wound within the collective. Like, there's a couple, and I'm not going to go into all of them right now, but suffice to say, the fear programming is working very well on all of that, right? So any of our fears around being divided within ourselves, as I mentioned, or being divided within community, or not having that connection with others, right? Our hearts desire that connection. And what better way to instill fear programming than to make us not be able to connect with each other, right? And then I mentioned the submission and control programming that's part of this fear programming. So anything that's, segregating others and going, you guys are over here, you guys over there, or you guys have no power, right? That's false, because you have total sovereignty in your life as long as you take ownership of it and claim it, right? So it doesn't just automatically come on because you hope it comes on, right? You must actually take ownership of your power and your light in really powerful ways. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then another way it shows up is distraction from your power. And what I mean by this is that, and it's already happening now, as you probably have noticed, if you have been on your powerful journey for a while, you will have noticed and seen through a lot of this programming already. I know I have. And so that's why I speak a lot into this, because, I actually saw a lot of this going to come to pass. And so, even on my birthday last year, I actually had seen a vision of the future. And I saw what was going to be transpiring. And a lot of that is starting to unfold now, and it's actually going to get more intense. And so all this distraction from your power, this is important to note. It's not just some, okay, that might be slightly annoying. It is, because it's actually your powers very much connected to you being a divine individual on this planet. Like, what I mean by that is that you are a divine being in human form. You may have heard this expression before. But the truth is that until you actually take ownership of the fact that you are this divine being, proximal to God, an extension of God, and therefore you are God, and then take ownership of your God self and allow that to awaken in your being. And that is something that I actually activate in others, because we all have those codes. We all have them. But a lot of them are dormant, if not, we all start off dormant in those codes for a reason, because that's also part of the programming that I've been mentioning earlier today. So part of my job as an activator of the new code of power at that, and also the consciousness of oneness codes, is to actually activate that in your being, so then it's just instantly embodied. And so that way you kind of, save 5 to 10 years from trying to figure it out, or, battling things and, that kind of thing. So the distraction from your power is something to take note of. So anytime anything pops up that is distracting you from focusing on yourself, from focusing on how amazing you are and how powerful you are and how you get to amplify your light, they're going to start coming in with that distraction to distract you away from that inner work, to distract you away from how powerful you are as a being. And so start noticing when that is, instead of getting like automatically, impulsively, knee jerk fearful when things come to pass, start thinking about what's really going on, because this is also part of the programming that I'm talking about here around the fair programming that's showing up now. And in a moment, I'm going to share about how you get to transcend that. But the thing is that you must first see through the lies that is showing up as a cultivated narrative for the collective. And the reason why this is so important is because if you are believing the cultivated narrative that is based on fear, you are going to start believing that you have no power. You are going to start believing that there's nothing you can do, or that, well, what can one person do, right? That kind of feeling. And the truth is, when you are connected to your power, your divine light in this world in a really deep, deep way, and then we get together, oh my God, that's what they're trying to prevent. They're trying to prevent all the light workers from showing up in the fullness of who they are personally and then coming together. That is what they fear the most, right? So that is why I want to share this with you, so that we can put a jam in that frequency. And so I shared with you what the fear programming is about, how it shows up. And here are some of the symptoms you may be experiencing personally, physically in your life as a result of the fear programming amping up in the world. And it is amping up, by the way. It's not, if you've been feeling like kind of pummeled in the past week or months or whatever, it's intentional on the programming of fear part, okay? And first of all, know that you're not alone. Secondly, once you start to understand what you're experiencing in your body and in your mind and in your heart, and you start really connecting with what's going on, you are actually going to be able to then not only create awareness, but then the next step, you transcend that, right? So here are some of the things you may be experiencing: anxiety, shortness of breath, panic attacks. And these are especially if you feel like you've already addressed all this, okay? So, because I'm hearing this a lot from my clients. I'm hearing this a lot on the phone calls that I get on with the lovely souls who book their calls with me to discuss being in their power, right? Is that you think you've cleared out stuff, and I'm sure you have, like deep, deep stuff. You've cleared some tremendous stuff out. And if you haven't yet, get on it, okay? Get on it, because this is one of those times, and I'm going to share with you why. So anxiety comes up, shortness of breath, panic attacks, palpitations. So a lot of stuff around the heart, if you notice, right? And the lungs, and agitation or irritability. And this is very different from like, I'm growing and I'm having growing pains. It's very different from that, right? There just might be this underlying like, kind of like feeling you might have, right? Also, feeling overwhelmed if you are an empath. And, even when you're an empowered empath right now, they're really like turning the dial up on this fear programming right now. So you might actually feel it even when you're an empowered empath. And if you're not yet an empowered empath and you're still not having healthy energy boundaries, you're still like taking ownership of everyone else's journey except your own, stuff like that, then you're still not an empowered empath. You're still in that disempowered empath state. So get on that, right? Get on that, because you get to transform that. But in general, a lot of empaths are feeling overly stimulated, more stimulated than you already were stimulated. And I can tell you this for a fact, right? Because I'm in the middle of New York City, a highly stimulating place to live, for many reasons. Another thing that you may be experiencing in your physical body is digestive irregularities. So a lot of times, that could be, the bowel movements are very different. And, I'm a licensed, acupuncturist. So we talk about poop a lot, when I'm in there with my patients. So, it is what it is. So for some of you who are a little squeamish, it's normal, right? It's an aspect of your body that is taking care of you. So, So yeah, digestive irregularities, like IBS, constipation, diarrhea, things like that, or digestive issues that just doesn't sit right. Difficulty feeling grounded. So if some of your practices that you usually practice to get grounded are not really working as much that you're noticing, make note of that, right? And then notice where you are. I just saw this. So Radiant Alexa says, Rita Alexa says, everybody poops. Yes, absolutely. All of our systems are divine, right? Nothing's really taboo about our system, because it is divine, right? So you get to be connected to all aspects of how you are functioning, and what you're feeling, because the physical experience is very much kind of like your body has registered the energetic frequencies that are showing up in the world. And so that's why you may be actually feeling physical symptoms as a result of all this stuff going on. So you may be feeling difficulty feeling grounded, meaning that you're like kind of scattered, you're out there, you're stuck in the cosmos, you're not really grounded, you're not connected with your physical body. And that can be something that a lot of starseeds, for instance, might have some trouble with if they are not grounded. Like they'll just stay up there in the ether and just like be all love and light and everything, but they're not going to be grounded in their lower chakras, like the first, second, and third chakras, so that they're rooted in the physical experience. They're not experiencing the sensuality of their soul and their body and of what it could look like and feel to be in this human form, right? And then also they're not making money because they're not connected to the earthly realm. So, I mean, there's a lot of things going on that can be amplified around the difficulty being grounded right now. And then also there can be a lot of fear that you may be experiencing, insecurity, mental confusion, scatteredness. So a lot of these symptoms you may be feeling, and I'm already seeing some folks here in the comments saying, yes, very, very on point for me personally. And yes, this is me, and having chest pains today. And so, this is all really important to take note. Because one thing for sure, unless you've experienced some direct physical trauma, then usually this is very much energetically connected. And one thing is for sure is that our bodies can feel before, we're aware of what's going on. Excuse me. So, what that looks like is that our bodies may have this experience before we're even aware of, like, wow, I think I'm a little nervous about XYZ, right? But once you do that work of like really being connected with your body, and me, I'm very connected with my body, and so I noticed too when I started feeling a little bit of anxiety out of nowhere, like within the past 2 weeks, and which is really unlike me, right? Because I already know what's happening. I already know why I feel certain ways, and like I've done a lot of deep work already, and of course there's like a lot of nuances, and you get to continue growing no matter what level of mastery you're at. Then you get into refinement, right? But the truth is that um, I noticed that there was some of that anxiety coming, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting because I'm not even anxious, and I knew that already instantly, and I'm already very clear about what's not mine and what is mine in terms of energy, and that's because as an empowered light worker, you get to be really connected with that. So here's why all of this is happening at an accelerated rate. So we are being made to believe that we have no power within ourselves, that we are powerless to what is going on in the world or what might be transpiring, maybe even personally in your life. That is part of the programming. And the fear programming is amping it up now to effectively distract you from your divine power. Because if you were fully connected to your divine power and activated fully into it, you would be unstoppable, right? And that's really important to get connected to, because this is not, being in your divine power is not just, oh, that's a nice thing, right? It's not just like a nice thing to have. It's like imperative, because like we're literally in a war on our consciousness right now. It's not about, our health. It's not about the economics. All of those are symptoms to the war on consciousness, okay? And so that's why it is a must And it is vital for you to be in the fullness of your divine power as a God being, of which you are, and if you don't believe that, then you just don't remember yet, right? And so there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline, and it's going to continue to effectively distract you from what it is you're experiencing now, and about your power, and what you want to transcend and all this other stuff, to be like, oh my God, this is happening. I don't have power over that. Oh, this is happening. I can't do anything about that, right? Focus on yourself. The oneness outside happens from the oneness within, and that oneness goes online immediately when you are connected and amplified and activated in your divine power. So that's why it is imperative. And I'm seeing a statement here. You are shining so bright and helping the collective so much. I appreciate you. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. So glad that you're all here. Okay, so that's why it's happening at an accelerated rate, because the faster we can, because basically the fear programming, actually, it's dying off, like the capitalist patriarchy, it's falling apart. I mean, it's all dying now, right? But the way they're making it show up in mainstream news and mainstream media and all these other aspects of, how we're collecting our information in the world is very cultivated. It's very cultivated so that you stay in a state of fear. So notice where you are in your fear around this, right? Or whatever's going on in the world, or what's going on in your life. So here's the secret, that was the title of this whole topic of this post, right? It is, for today's episode, the secret to transcending the fear programming that is showing up now. So here's how you transcend it, and here's the secret to transcending that. You must unplug yourself from this old fear matrix. It's not even real. Like, I mean, if you want to get into the whole, like, quantum physics thing, it's like, it's actually a figment of our imaginations. It's actually a hologram, right? And I'm not going to go too deep into all that, but just suffice to say that we have created this hologram for ourselves based on what we believe. And if you are believing, if you are believing the fear programming right now, such as, maybe some examples could be, you believe that you have no power, you believe that you're stuck, you believe that someone has power over you, or an entity or organization or a governmental agency has power over you, it's false, right? Notice where your fear paradigm is being kept alive within your system. And, so the thing is here is that when you are in your power, you are able to make your own decisions for yourself, and you're able to make them from a place of being grounded and connected to your light, and not based on what you feel is being put on you, or what you're being felt is mandatory, or what is being placed on you as any mandate, or something that may or may not align, right? Because the truth is, we are here to be fully embodied in our freedom. And I am giving you an answer on this, right? I'm giving you an answer on all of this. This is about sovereignty. It's not about shot or no shot, right? This is about sovereignty. Focus on your sovereignty. When you are unplugging from the fear matrix, such as, these people have power over me, I have no choice, other people have power over my body, other people have power over my soul, over my frequency, over my immune system, you are giving your power away. So the answer to this, and the secret to this, is unplugging from the fear matrix and to stop energizing the fear matrix. All right? Stop energizing the fear matrix that is making you believe that you can't do things. And if it doesn't align with you, don't align with it as being true. Amplify what is true. And this is very different from spiritually bypassing, which is saying, oh, nothing's wrong, we're all fine, everyone's good, And the truth is, you are exponentially powerful. And every single time I get those questions around, should I do this? Should I do that? What should I do this about, this or that, or things that are being forced onto my body, or things that I'm experiencing in this world, right? Get clear on what you want. Get clear on what you want to be experiencing in your life. And instead of being plugged into the old programming, which looks like, oh my God, this is what I'm stuck with, right? Like, we are going to be stuck in this matrix. I'm going to be forced to do certain things, or I don't have the freedom to do certain things, right? Don't energize that matrix. And I'm not saying to ignore, right? Because there's nothing you can ignore about that. But what I'm saying is put your energy and your intention and you as a creator being online in the world. And when I say online, I'm not necessarily saying on social media, although you surely can do that. But what I'm saying is when you're online energetically and in your divine power, you are showing up in the fullness of your divine truth and your divine light and your divine God self in the world, right? And you get to trust your body. You get to trust your immune system. You get to trust what you're experiencing about what you want and what is aligned and not aligned for you. And this is about you having and creating your new template of freedom, because the freedom template those are the codes that have been coming in this year. And that's exactly what I'm talking about with today's topic around transcending the fear programming, right? Stop believing that you're stuck in a program that doesn't serve you or that tries to suppress your power. It's illusion. They don't have the power, you do. And the faster you can get on board with that, the faster you'll see a difference in your life. Okay? So this is what I'm talking about. Unplug yourself from the fear matrix that is showing up in the world. Starve the fear programming by taking ownership of your sovereignty as a divine human living on purpose, and be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Be very clear about the types of energy you want to ingest. What type of energies do you want to ingest? Do you want to expose yourself to the fear programming? Like, for instance, on, mainstream media, right? A lot of which is not even true anyway, right? Or do you want to plug into the truth matrix, the freedom matrix, the new paradigm that is here for all of us, right? Freedom is here for all of us. And the fear programming is designed to make you believe you don't have power. It's to make you believe you're stuck with this, right? This is the way your life is, deal with it, right? And the truth is, you don't have to. You are a creator. What do you want to create? Be intentional about what you're creating. And a lot of what's in the fear matrix is very much connected to all those things Lightworkers get really grossed out by, right? It's the manipulation, the greed, the creating suffering and pain, sorrow, like all of that stuff that we are not about. That is part of the fear matrix and the old paradigm. And so everything that you're seeing amping up and like you're going to get forced to do this, you're going to be forced to do that, right? It's not real. Don't give it energy, because it's all illusion. It's a last-ditch attempt from the negative entities to make you believe that you don't have the power within yourself, because that's the biggest secret of all, right? Is that, all of the, programmings that are out there in the world, in the globe, from the global elite and blah, 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 to the negative energies and the galactic, universe, right? There's all kinds of things going on. And it's been going on for eons, all right? Like all the stuff you're seeing right now, it's not new. This has been ramping up for this moment so that they could turn up the volume on your fear. And so if you got lots of fear, like I said earlier, if you got lots of fear around your worth, around receiving love, around being lovable, around being abandoned, all that stuff, all the main things that light workers have issues around, right? And the money and the time. I don't have time, I don't have money. All of that is all false, right? And I know that people are going to DM me later and be like, no, it's actually true. I'm not here to take a stand for your limitations, all right? I'm not going to be that light worker who's going to enable you if you haven't been able to tell that by now. But the truth is that if you're scared of anything, address that now, because that's exactly where your energy is leaking out and where you are most susceptible. And that is where that fear programming can enter into your energy system and work you, right? So don't be worked by this fear programming. You be the one to work your life. And you do that by getting clear on what you're holding, what you're suppressing within yourself, what you're not claiming within yourself. Because anything you're not claiming, especially your power as a divine being, if you're not claiming that, that is going to leave open all kinds of energy leakages in your energy system. Because you're literally afraid, because what that means, if you're not taking ownership of your power, is that you are literally afraid of your power. And if you are afraid of your power, that is exactly how you're going to get manipulated by the fear programming. And they're going to amp it up, and they're going to be like, okay, so she's afraid of her power. All right. She's afraid of misusing her power, right? From a past life. Because I hear that a lot. And, that's something that I help my private clients transform, so that that's not something that they just hang out in anymore. And then they start closing their energy and, make it nice and smooth rather than jagged and openings and stuff going on in their energy field. And if you think all of this is woo, the truth is that the woo and energy, it's all real. It is the reason why the fear programming is successful. Because if you are not believing in your power, in your path, in your light, in you being a creator, then you are succumbing to the fear programming. You are believing that which is untrue. If you don't like what you're seeing, stop believing in it. Stop believing in it. So clear out your fears around worth, deserving, love, capability, time, money. Those are kind of the bigger ones. But wherever you are still afraid, address that like now, like yesterday. Because if you don't, you are going to be the one who's going to be part of the fear programming's next meal. And I'm not saying that to put fear into you. I'm just saying this is what it is. And you get to make a choice based on this information, right? I'm not here to make the decision for you, because you are a powerful being and you are sovereign and you get to make your decisions. And I'm just letting you know what's up, though. And I'm going to just tell you, I know where I stand on, I'm not standing in the fear. I already did my work, and I'm already now in the refinement of that mastery, and I get to continue doing that on a regular basis, just like you get to, right? And so here are some ways to unplug from the fear matrix. So as you heard me say at least 10 million times during this broadcast, do the clearing and healing work on what you're still scared of, on what you are afraid of, especially within yourself. If you're afraid you can't handle certain things, you're afraid you might use your power, afraid of, being in the fullness of your big power potential, afraid to show up on social media, afraid to put your videos out there, afraid to put your face out there, right? And here's the thing, is that if you are a light worker and you are providing services as a light worker, because light workers who are in service are providing services so that other people can transform as a result of their powerful gifts that they are receiving from the transformation with you, then, as I said, if you're not providing services and offers as a light worker, being really powerful as you are, like I've said before, it's just an expensive hobby otherwise, right? So do the clearing and healing work, and that can look like, breath work, healing work, energy work, clearing, prayers, meditation. Meditation should be number one, especially this is a war on consciousness. Clear your mind, right? Work on being connected to your higher consciousness instead of being in your fear and worrying about things, because all of that is a manifestation. That is a prayer in itself. You being in worry is a prayer. You are praying that into existence when you worry. So also claim your sovereignty. So that's very important. And I've shared many ways that you can do that in past lives. Some of them can be done through powerful I am statements, claiming your sovereignty, saying, claiming who you are, and also be consistent in showing up for your divine power. Because the thing is, a lot of light workers who are not yet empowered, they're still in the whole, oh, I'm having a good day, awesome, I'm an empowered light worker, right? But being an empowered light worker doesn't mean that you just show up on your good days. Being an empowered light worker means that you are showing up consistently even on your bad days, because everyone's got bad days. Everyone has days that are less stellar than others. And invisible light workers will just make an excuse about it, and they'll say, well, this happened, and so therefore I'm not going to do my live anymore, or I'm not going to do the video series I was planning to do this week, or I'm not going to do a post because I just don't feel like it, right? And of course, there's a difference between listening to your body and listening to yourself and listening to your fear. And the fear, when it's talking, is saying, you can't handle this. You can't feel like fearful and show up at the same time, right? Because that's a lie. I've done it many times, right? And that's what empowered light workers do, is they show up even though they feel less than awesome on any given day, right? That's called consistency, showing up no matter what. And when you do that, you are actually cultivating your power in a very consistent way. And another way that you can really transcend this, and actually it's one of the quickest ways, is actually through activation work, and that's stuff that I do, that's stuff that I offer to my private clients in deeper one-on-one experiences, since I do not do single sessions. And by the way, I also don't do psychic readings. So all those folks who have been DMing me around, and thank you very much, by the way, on all those fake accounts who are trying to be me but can't. And that's the thing, is that when you're in your vibration and you're in your frequency, rather than people saying, oh, wow, like, I believed this person was you, they're like, there's something not right about this person, right? And that's what happens when your frequency and your vibration is very distinct, that even though people may copy or screenshot your feed, like some of these fake accounts have done, it doesn't capture who I really am, right? And you get to be like that too, where your frequency gets to be at such a level that other people can tell what is authentically yours and what is not, because you know what is authentically yours and what is not. And so this activation work that I perform with my private clients, it's actually very quick. It transforms things very quickly. Because I'm a shamanic practitioner as well, sometimes it's required to do some time traveling, some portal jumping, doing some healing with the ancestors, things like that. And that too is actually doesn't take that long. It really doesn't. And so it's really deep work. And so as you can imagine, it requires one to be open to the process of their transformation and to release and let go and to really step up and be motivated in the fullness of who they are. So if that's something that resonates for you and you want more information on that, feel free to DM me. But these are some of the ways that you can transcend the fear programming. So just to do a recap, today's topic was the secret to transcending the fear programming that is showing up now. And I covered what the fear programming is about. I talked about how it shows up, how some of the symptoms you may be experiencing is part of this amping up of the fear programming in the world and in your life, and why it's happening at an accelerated rate, and the secret to transcending it, this fear programming, so that you can really be in your power. So I really hope that this has been helpful. I knew I threw a lot at you just now, but I just really wanted to make sure that I was being really thorough and that I covered things. And because we're in a really powerful time right now, and you can either step up and transform being in that fear and in that stuckness, or you can continue going on the same path you've been on, which could be, for some of you who have not yet stepped into your power, that could be looking like hiding, tucking your power away, suppressing your power, being afraid of your light, being afraid of your power, succumbing to your fears and all that stuff, right? And if you're doing that, then you are succumbing actually to the fear programming. And so, now that you know that, you get to make a different choice. Do you want to continue being oppressed by the fear programming by believing in it and energizing it as a reality when it's actually illusion? Or do you want to step up as the creator that you are and energize the reality that you want to be experiencing right now? It's totally up to you, your call, right? Because you're a sovereign being and you get to make a decision. So, feel free to let me know what your decision is in the comments below, even after, this episode is over from the live, because I'd really love to know, what you are ready to create, what you are ready to amplify on this new earth grid. Because Gaia told me on, actually 8/7 for the 8/8 portal that I was performing an activation on. And she said the message for humanity was, because she was showing me a blueprint of her new grid. And then she was letting me know, humanity gets to get on board with the new blueprint and this new grid that I'm activating right now, because it's going to be moving really fast. So either you'll get left behind, you'll feel, because you're letting yourself feel stuck, you're letting yourself be fearful about, who you are and about being a light worker and a starseed and all that stuff, and you're just succumbing to all of that. Or you take ownership of your life as the creator that you have, that you are in this world, and that the power that you possess and of the reality you want to be creating. Because, I'm not going to get into it right now, but there are many versions of Earth. There are many different versions and, aspects of Earth, of, the different beyond time and space and all that stuff. And you get to be intentional about what you want to be creating. And if some of this scares you, what I've just shared, if some of it scares you, or maybe you're having a strong reaction, that's fine, right? But what I request that you do is to get curious about why you're reacting that way. Get curious why maybe what I've shared has irritated you or scared you or made you really think or had a strong reaction, because that too is healing. Because as you start to get really connected to, why do I feel a certain way about something, right? Then you can start really living your life rather than just operating from what you're being told to do, right? Because would you rather live a life where you're just following an old template of the old paradigm and believing that you have no power and you're just basically now energizing that old system? Or are you going to unplug from the fear matrix that actually is already dying, and all this amplification and intensity you're seeing right now is actually its last leg of trying to, contain us? But the truth is you can't contain the light. And especially the more that you wake up and the more that you awaken, the faster you can do your job, basically, right? So if this has inspired you, on the other hand, and you are like amped up and you're like, let's do this, I'm down for Team Humanity, I'm down for my sovereignty, I'm down for my light, I'm down to create the reality that I want instead of the reality I don't want, and I get to take ownership of the fact that no mandates have power over me or over my immune system or over what I choose to do with my body or what I choose to do with my soul and my spirit and my consciousness. That is all on you. And if you are amped up by this discussion and you are ready to be held and supported, and you are connected with your purpose as a light worker, and you're connected to your heart, and you'd like to know how to be supported, and you're really committed to that, because when you start stepping up into your power, all of your fears are going to be thrown into your face, like, oh God, I don't think I'm capable after all, or oh God, I don't think I really have time anymore. Oh God, I don't think I have access to money anymore. Oh God, I think I'm unlovable, right? All of your stuff is going to come up guaranteed as you up level. And that is because when you up level, it requires you to clear out the playing field around your experience so that you can welcome in and receive that next level of your being. And that cannot happen by you doing the same things in your life that you've always been doing and staying safe and secure and comfortable and settled. If you want to be amped up in your power, but you don't want to change anything, good luck with that. Because it's like oil and water. It doesn't mix, right? So if you'd like to learn more about that and you're connected to your purpose and you're connected to your heart, then DM me about next steps and we'll talk about that. But I hope this served you today. It's a really powerful topic. And yeah, but you have the power for this. And that is the thing that they want you, the powers that be, the small elite that really has no power anymore, that is controlling, that has been in the past historically controlling the majority. It's dying now, right? And I know that for a fact because as the new code of power, I've been doing work for the past 2 to 3 years, maybe, really going deep, deep, deep into the, how would I call it? Like the old paradigm codex. And I've been excising the old elements of power, which is really artificial power that is based on manipulation and greed and all that stuff. And I excised it and inserted to replace it the new code of power, which is connected to sovereignty and power and light. And there were a lot of things that I saw during that moment that is now coming to light as truth. And a lot of it is ugly and a lot of it is disturbing. And there's more to come, believe it or not. But here's the thing, the more that you are in your power, the more that you will be grounded as all of this transpires. And yeah, you are a powerful creator. Don't let anyone try to convince you that you are powerless, because unless you believe it yourself, no one can really, take your power away from you unless you give it to them, right? So stop giving away your power. Take it back by taking ownership of who you are, ownership of all of your power, all of your potential, all of your light, without conditions. And once you're in that moment of bring it on and you're really serious and committed to that statement, then you are a force to be reckoned with. Okay, dear one, have a wonderful rest of your week. Much love, light, and power to you.